good morning. Today I'm out at Copper and we're going to be doing a resort test of the Korua pencil in collaboration with Snowboard Mag. Let's check this thing out. All right, real quick for your reference before I jump into things, I'm 5'10", I weigh 155 pounds, and I tested the pencil in size 159. Now this is going to be a more all-mountain free ride leaning type of board on the Korua lineup. They call it the Swiss Army knife of snowboards to just solidify their stance on the versatility in this one. And I can kind of get behind that. I think for like a more free ride leaning resort board, this definitely does have some nice versatility to offer. It obviously has a very directional design to it. So you're gonna find a directional outline in this snowboard with a noticeably longer nose outside the contact points, and you're gonna have a tail. It also runs a 35 millimeter setback, so shifting the inserts closer to the tail, as well as 28 millimeters of taper at size 159. So the tail is 28 millimeters narrower than the nose of this snowboard. Also notice that you have this notch cut out in the tail here, a little bit of a swallowtail going on to further reduce the surface area in the back. So pretty much everything about the design is kind of helping increase the surface area in the front of the board and reduce it in the back to give it a more natural, comfortable feel in soft snow and just help keep that nose up more easily without having to shift your weight back. And the camber profile fits right in with that story. It is a camber dominant snowboard. You're gonna find positive camber through the body of the board to give you some nice power and stability when you need it. But you have a reverse camber blend in the tail, as well as a little bit more in the nose here. And what I really like about that profile for this kind of board is that when you activate the camber, either just simply by standing on it or like arcing a turn or, you know, putting any kind of pressure in the board when you're in powder, it activates the reverse camber even more. So you get a further benefit out of that reverse camber in soft snow. And I like that it's in the tail too, because I think that kind of helps contribute to some more switch versatility in soft snow. It won't like hang up quite as easily as something with a flatter tail like maybe a fish snowboard might have. Other than that, the construction is pretty straightforward. You're going to find a biaxial fiberglass layup, so that's just two directions of fiberglass, so it's not too aggressive torsionally. It's pretty easy to control. Also has a poplar core and a PTEX 3000 sintered base, which is a higher end base material. It's known to be tougher and faster compared to an extruded base, but as always, you do want to make sure to wax a sintered base regularly to maintain a nice, smooth, consistent glide through the season. And that's it for a quick tech breakdown on the pencil. Let's talk about how this board felt on the mountain. All right, flex-wise, this board isn't too stiff, but it still has some nice stability to offer. I'd say it sits just a smidge on the stiffer side of medium. You can definitely still get some flex out of this thing. I think the reverse in the tips does help a lot with that if you're trying to lean into the nose or tail, try some flat tricks and things like that. You can sit in a press without having to work too hard for it. It's actually kind of fun for flat tricks if you're interested in that. You know, the nose is pretty long, so you're gonna have to watch out for that as you're trying to swivel around on the snow, but it's gonna give up some decent presses, and it's pretty fun for trying all that kind of stuff around the resort. You know, the day that I tested this out at Copper, it was a very variable snow day. You know, we had maybe a couple inches of some fresh snow out on the ground, and it didn't feel particularly hooky or anything like that. It didn't feel too dangerous out there trying some butter tricks. So if you do enjoy playing around with that on some flat sections on the mountain, even though this board is quite directional, you can definitely still get it done on the pencil. And it has some decent snap to offer as well. So if you're trying to get freestyly on this thing, it still is gonna offer some decent pop with that camber in the profile. And speaking of freestyle, you know, we took some park laps out at Copper, even though the speed was a little bit slower with that fresh snow. And just in general, taking a directional board like this through the park, I'm always a little bit more cautious, especially when it comes to jibs. You know, you want to make sure you're not clipping that nose up on anything, and it's always going to be a little bit more of a novelty taking a board like this through some proper terrain park laps, especially if you're hitting rail features. But, you know, it's not so aggressive that it's like scary in the terrain park. Like some boards are just overly precise. This board you can definitely still have some fun with. It's going to be a little bit more jump leaning. I think it's got the stability to have some fun getting in the air with this thing. The real area where this board shines the most, as you'd expect from Korua, is for making some turns, hitting groomers, carving, and exploring the resort. So let's talk about the carving experience a little bit. A couple of specs I like to talk about in the reviews with you guys are the waist width and side cut. So at size 159, you're gonna find a 26 centimeter waist in the pencil, which is a decent bit of width. Definitely comes in handy if you're trying some more aggressive edge angle carves. You enjoy like deeper carves. It's gonna make that a little bit more accessible and comfortable. And of course, if you have a bigger boot size, gonna be a nice benefit as well. I wouldn't say this is super wide, but it definitely is a nice bit of width to kind of open up that deeper carving world for you a little bit more. Runs an 8.1 meter side cut at this size as well, which is a little bit of a longer side cut, going to throw you into slightly more drawn out carves that I think has a really nice feel as you're opening the board up to higher speeds. It's going to be just a little bit smoother, but it has a pretty versatile feel overall. I think whether you're doing more mellower turns or trying to bomb some hills and do some more aggressive carving, the pencil is going to be able to deliver a really fun time for you. And it's a really smooth turning snowboard as well. I think that's one of the best ways to describe it. It's very easy to initiate. It holds an edge very well and has a nice powerful drive through the arc of the turn as well. It is a pleasure to carve with and definitely lives up to that Korua turning reputation. And it kind of smooths things out as well. I think that the longer nose helps with that a little bit. Obviously we had some very variable conditions out at Copper with that fresh snow being soft in spots and hitting some more firm places on occasion. And it was able to handle that, hold an edge very well and not be too much on like your ankles and knees. It still felt like a pretty nice smooth ride overall. And I was able to get this board out in the backcountry here in Colorado after some fresh snow as well. And even though this isn't necessarily like a straight powder focused snowboard, it holds it down very well on a pow day. So if you're looking for something that has some nice versatility for exploring the resort, going off piste, checking things out, or taking it out on a deep day as well, the pencil is going to do that really well. I think with the reverse camber in the tail and that notch, that little swallowtail notch, it does give it a nice nimble feel in deeper snow. Didn't feel sluggish at all out there. And with the width and the directionality in this thing, you can ride with your weight centered on the board. It's not going to really tire you out even after a long start to finish pow day. So whether you're trying to snake through some trees, hit some nice open fields, or just kind of explore through some chopped up conditions going from stash to stash, this is definitely a board to take out on the deep days and is going to be a lot of fun out there. It can handle some drops and land in powder pretty well also. So if you're looking for that free ride, all mount leaning kind of snowboard that delivers some great versatility, it's a pleasure for carving, has some nice energetic, nimble, quick edge to edge transitions, can power through those chopped up conditions, but isn't too stiff. It's still like a pretty approachable snowboard for this style of board. If you're looking at your first directional board to add to the quiver, this is definitely going to be a little bit of a more approachable one, but still very capable as well. It has enough stability to really hold it down even as you start to push it a little bit. So if you're interested in something like this, check out the Korua pencil. This is a staple on the Korua lineup, but they have a lot of great boards on the line to explore. Appreciate Snowboard Mag for the support on this video. If you want to check this board out in more detail, it's linked down below. I appreciate you guys. Please drop a like if you got some value. Subscribe if you're new here, and we'll see you in a new review soon. Later, guys.